Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Friday. We made it. Tough week for me. I don't know why. It just felt super long. But here it is, Friday night. And I'm just going to make a little bit of recording. What you're seeing right now has nothing to do with what I've been doing this week. But I figured I would just give you a brief intro. So, picked up a few new pieces of rolling stock, is one thing. I've started working on another GP38 to finish up. That's number two. I've done a little bit more on the yard office, and that's number three. And I'll just show you a few things there. And then I started working on a vehicle, kind of got inspired by Mike in Toronto here, taking a Riverpoint truck and doing some stuff to it. So that's my intro. I'll get into those in no particular order. Okay, first up, I won't spend too much time on this, but I did a little bit of bushery on the yard office, and I made a little tree here that actually kind of looks like a giant tree made small. So I got the proportions all wrong. That's my bonsai right here. Got a super thick trunk, lots of branch structure. If you magnified it or grew it like 10 times, it would make a perfect tree for HO scale. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I think I might just turn it into a bush or use it somewhere else, but I don't think this thing is representing a tree that's probably 3 years old or 2 years old. Anyway, so that's my tree. I don't know if I'll continue working on that. The stuff here, this is the core rope that I was cutting off to make the grass last time. I just, I've been doing this on my other stuff too. My engine shop was the first time I used it, I believe, about 3 years ago. And I figured, oh, you know what? I'll keep going with that. So those are my little grass tufts there. And then the other thing you see here, I'll zoom in a bit more, see if you can make out what it is. Right there, that brownish looking bush with the little fuzzies trapped inside it. This is from my daughter's hairbrush. And so the little fuzzy things, I guess, are little dust bunnies that got trapped in the hairbrush, as they always do. But it makes a different kind of bush. She's got dark curly hair. And so yeah, that's bush number two. Little grass tuft number two. And then I don't know if you can see this one, but it's right there. This is a toothbrush I found on the floor in the kids' bathroom, and they're really bad about that. We have about 15 toothbrushes. So I tried making it out of the toothbrush bristles. Maybe. I don't think you can do the pinch and stab method here with the toothbrush ones, at least not on the diorama thing. I think probably the easiest way to do it is to drop it through a straw. Drop it down a straw and get it to adhere that way into a tuft. Because there are bushes that have those straight kind of strands and no bending and like that. The horsetails, I think they're called, is one bush that I can think of. And, cattails maybe as well, with a little thing on top. But yeah, toothbrush bristles, maybe. Not so good for pinch and stab. Yeah, that's pretty much as far as I've gotten with this thing. So I'll stop there. Okay, I'll talk about the Riverpoint Station trucks that I have. I have three of them. This is two. This is how they came. Pretty much a dually on the back, single wheels on the front, the extra wide kind of toolbox on the back. And yeah, so I'll show you what I did to this guy here. So this is the first one I'm doing here. This is to match a CN model. First thing I did was disassemble it. And so this comes off in one piece. And then what I did was I ran it through the table saw and took off 4 millimeters of width through the middle and then glued it back together. So City Tire there is, I think it's missing a decal, missing a word in the middle there. But it's actually narrower. This represents a CN vehicle that I see all the time when I take the kids to school. The guy parks it on the side of the road. So this will be painted kind of the CN red at the back, and the fire service will be gone, or field service will be gone. Obviously, this thing didn't come with the high rail equipment. So this was done. I was thinking about using like N scale wheels for the trains, but they're not small enough. And then I thought, Z scale, TT, whatever. And trying to source those is next to impossible. So then I got to styrene. So this is a styrene tube. and it's just carved out with a hobby knife just to get the flanges, or I guess the face of the wheel really thin. And then I did take out the hobby saw and cut out this really, really thin piece from more styrene rod, and then glued those two pieces together. And this is square styrene stock running across the axle, and then some more styrene rod just as the attachment points. And this is my aluminum piece here. And I've noticed that my actual push rod that pushes these things up and down is actually gone now, so that fell off. But anyway, I got two of these, one on the front, one on the back of my truck here. Here's the one on the front. So I still have to paint these things, and I won't be, they're just basically dabbed on with a bit of canopy glue. They come off very easily. So the other thing I had to do was disassemble the axles. So the back axle here came with a dually, just like this guy did. And where I got these wheels from, thank you to Riverpoint, they put a spare wheel under each one of these vehicles. So I've got the one from here and the one from this truck, and I made a regular set of wheels for this truck instead of the dualies, right? The other thing you have to do for both axles is shorten the axles. They're actually too wide. I don't know if you've seen these high rail trucks, but the axles look kind of funny. The wheels are all tucked in underneath the wheel wells. That's just to match the gauge of the rails, right? Truck tires are too wide to drive down the rails, so they have to narrow the axles. So I had to do the same thing here, front and back, narrowed. I ended up gluing them. I glued the axles on with canopy glue onto both of these, so they no longer spin. That wheel is just rotating on the rod, actually. The other thing you have to do is actually give the truck a bit of a lift to make it look realistic. These wheels are too tucked into the wheel well as normal. So giving these things, I think, is about a 6 to 8 inch lift. I mean, everybody wants to do this to their truck, right? Basically just pull down the frame, the subframe from the body, and then you can glue it in high riding. And then this one actually seems to sit pretty high anyway, because it no longer, those pins, these pinholes here no longer line up. And so that just keeps the back body quite high on the back wheel anyway. So it actually looks pretty good. Anyway, that's as far as I've gotten on this truck. I've got to do some paint and prep, and there's going to be a bit more. I think this one actually has ladders on both sides, plus some gear in the middle. So that's pretty much for this truck with the high rail on it. So I figured I would start fairly simple. That's it for my Riverpoint truck. More on that later. Okay, now I'll just briefly show you a couple pieces of rolling stock I picked up. This is off of Facebook Marketplace, a guy named Chris in Hamilton. So yeah, I think this was a Intermountain, and this is a Walters one. But he actually did the weathering, so I'll just briefly show you this one. This is a really nice car. 4850 or something like that. I don't know. But it's good detail, really nice weight. He did do the trucks again, I think. Oh no, he did the trucks on this one, turned them into Intermountain. These would have come from Intermountain. But beautiful cars, see-through walkways. Anyway, so I will weather this one up. He hasn't touched this one except for the wheels, obviously. And then he did a pretty good job on this one. This is without airbrush, so quite impressive. Just a slight weathering. I think he did the patch out as well. Not sure. Oh no, he didn't. I don't think he did. But it's done the underbay there. I'm going to follow up with the underbay with my airbrush, just because I can. And I'll follow up with the oils on top here. But overall, quite an impressive job. I like it. I'm just going to add my personal touch to it. But yeah, picked those up for not very much money, and they're great additions. Need some more gray in my fleet, you know. Everything's all colorful. So yeah, that's the new 2 pieces of rolling stock. Okay, finally, this is the last thing I've been working on. I kind of changed gears here, and I got back to working on this GP38. So again, this is an Athearn chassis. I think I've shown you this one previously. This is my CN 4718. This guy is currently out in Alberta, I think. But it has the split cannon, or the split air reservoirs. And I had to remove all the detail off the fuel tank and replace it with some Canon stuff in the middle. I did just move the fuel filler here into the middle. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, so on both sides, the fuel filler's in the middle. And the looking glass was removed from this side. It doesn't appear on the prototype. And then the looking glass is here on the prototype, but I didn't move it. It's actually over here. I'm not going to move that. The other one is, it looks like there's some tank damage on the prototype, so I sanded this down and then put a piece of aluminum in there, and I'll paint that up as a patch. Again, moved the looking glass and the fuel filler there. Truck detail did not have to do anything with these trucks. Actually, they're matching the prototype. And of course, it's got my scale sound system, decoder buddy, and V5 in there. So this thing sounds great, phenomenal actually. It's got a nice sound file on it. I will be reusing the light board here for the number boards. I just have to redo these wires onto the light board here. So that's the chassis. And then this thing was what I've been looking at for a long time, and I hadn't basically got the guts up to do it. And this is round 4. Not round 4 starting from scratch, but paintbrush using acrylics and oils, then down into the basement using the airbrush, and then back upstairs using the paintbrush, then back downstairs using the airbrush. So this is 4 cycles to get this kind of effect. And I think I finally nailed it as close as I think I'm going to get. So I'll show you some prototype photos of this side. This is the side that I actually could find a lot of photos of. And it's pretty messed up. I think I probably bit off one of the harder ones to start with. I still have another one, 4762, to do, and it's nowhere near as destroyed as this one. So hopefully that one will be a bit easier. Process, obviously lots of masking. But again, it's more of a perseverance thing. If you mess something up, you can just airbrush right over it and start again. So if you don't like a tone of red or pink or white or black, you just basically go downstairs and airbrush over it. And, there's a lot of stabbing with paintbrushes. I had some manky paintbrushes. I had some really fine paintbrushes. I think the fine paintbrushes are probably the best. Takes the most time to do this detail, but get the best results. I'll show you the roof there. So I don't have any photos of the roof of this locomotive, but I'm imagining that the red is showing through in a couple areas of the roof. A lot of this is going to be covered up anyway with, what do you call that stuff? The light boards and all the stuff on top of the cab. Got Canon fans there waiting to be put in. This thing needs an air pipe. They relocated the horn to the back, so that's one of the last things I'll do. I had to move the light down. It was up here. I had to move it down here. It's got a cab-mounted bell. I scratched up those guys there, the marker lights. I had to do a different kind of brake for this one. And then the crazy high ditch lights are kind of funny looking, but, that's close to prototype. Yeah, I'll show you the other side. Okay, now this other side was kind of weird too. I actually found this side in a video from a guy out in Alberta from last year. So this is what it looks like today. Well, close. I'll show prototypes photos of this as well from the movie, from the YouTube video. But this one obviously had the old giant noodle on there, and it was covered up probably 10 years ago, but it's recently faded in, and I guess the paint's washed off, and there it is. So yeah, this one was harder. I had to move the stripes on this side. The black was the white and the white was the black. So I had to basically scratch this whole side. I thought I was, getting a shortcut having a CN starting point, but nope. This thing is all original. So yeah, I have to weather it still, obviously, and but I've got the shell to the point where I'm happy to now wire up these lights and stuff. So I got 4 LEDs in here right now. I think there's another 11 LEDs to go. This is the 4 strobe robot, basically the one with the belt pack on it. So there's going to be strobe on either side, strobe in the front, strobe in the rear. And then I got 2 ground lights to go, and then obviously the headlight and the number boards and the cab light. So yeah, this guy's going to be pretty wired up. And this was the terrible part, so I'm over it. I'm done. So wiring shouldn't be too bad. I've done it before. So hopefully this guy's running next week. I'll show you him all lit up and going. Actually, I'll say 2 weeks. Let's say 2 weeks. Anyway, that's my updates for this week. I hope you guys have a good weekend and stay busy. And I guess if there's anything to show here, it looks like I got ADHD, and I probably do. But go with your creativity is what I'll say. You know, if you get bored of one thing, switch over to something else. That's what I do, obviously. Anyway, take care. Have a good night. Please like and subscribe. It does help out with me wanting to actually make these videos. So anyway, take care, everyone.